better. But he said nothing, and I left his presence without ever looking back.
The man was silent then, and he remained silent. I couldn't even hear him breathing. For so long that I began to get nervous, thinking that perhaps he'd fallen asleep or died. Then he stood up in the pre-dawn light.
Well, there you go, pal. Here's your story. Think it was worth a couple of cigarettes and a book of matches?
Yes, it was. But what happened next? How did you get here?
What happened? I left home. And I lost my way. And these days, home's a long way back. Sometimes you do things you regret, but there's nothing you can do about them. Times change. Doors closed behind you. You move on, you know? Eventually, I wound up here. They used to say no one's ever originally from L.A. That's true as hell in my case. Stand up. Come here.
What?
Come here.
Yes.
Here. A gift for you.
You kissed my cheek.
Yes.
It burns. Ah.
It doesn't burn for long.
You took something from me. You took something.
No. I gave you something. Like the man said, forgetfulness is freedom of a sort.
What did you do to me?
I never fell. You understand? When the others fell, I didn't fall. I'm still doing my job as I see it. Doesn't matter how long it is. I still want to go home. You'll go home soon. I'll see you around, pal.
The man walked away down the darkened street, and I sat on the bench and watched him go. I felt like he had taken something from me, although I could no longer remember what. And I felt like something had been left in its place. Absolution, perhaps, or innocence, although of what or from what I could no longer say. An image from somewhere. A scribbled drawing of two angels in flight above a perfect city. And over the image, a child's perfect handprint which stains the white paper blood red. It came into my head unbidden, and I no longer know what it meant. I stood up. It was too dark to see the face of my watch, but I knew I would get no sleep that day. I walked back to the place I was staying, to the house by the stunted palm tree, to wash myself and to wait. I thought about angels and about Tink, and I wondered whether love and death always went hand in hand. The next day the planes to England were flying again. I felt strange. Lack of sleep had forced me into that miserable state in which everything seems flat and of equal importance, when nothing matters, and in which reality seems scraped thin and threadbare. The taxi journey to the airport was a nightmare. I was hot and tired and testy. I wore a t-shirt in the LA heat. My coat was packed at the bottom of my luggage, where it had been for the entire stay. The airplane was crowded, but I didn't care.
Newspaper, sir? We've got the International Herald Tribune, USA Today, and the LA Times.
LA Times, please.
Must be pretty interesting. You've been reading that same page over and over for an hour now.
I have. I'm sorry. Would you like the paper? Truth to tell, I'm so tired that the words go in one eye and out the other.
I can't remember a single thing I've read. Here.
Well, if you're sure you're finished with it.
Oh, completely. Forever.
I had lied. One story I had read stayed with me. Somewhere in the back of the paper was a report of a triple murder. 2 women and a small child. No names were given, and I do not know why the report should have registered as it did. Soon I fell asleep. I dreamed about making love to Tink, while blood ran sluggishly from her closed eyes and lips. The blood was cold and viscous and clammy, and I awoke chilled by the plane's air conditioning with an unpleasant taste in my mouth. My tongue and lips were dry.
Bad dream?
No, just... something I can't even remember.
You're white as a ghost. You scared of flying?
No, I love flying.
I looked out of the scratched oval window, stared down at the clouds, and it occurred to me then, not for the first time, that the clouds were in actuality another land, where everyone knew just what they were looking for and how to get back where they started from. Staring down at the clouds is one of the things I have always liked best about flying. That and the proximity one feels to one's death. I wrapped myself in the thin aircraft blanket and slept some more, but if further dreams came, then they made no impression upon me. A blizzard blew up shortly after the plane landed in England, knocking out the airport's power supply. I was alone in an airport elevator at the time, and it went dark and jammed between floors.
Hello?
A dim emergency light flickered on.
Anyone here?
I pressed the crimson alarm button until the batteries ran down and it ceased to sound.
I'm afraid I've gotten trapped.
Then I shivered in my LA t-shirt in the corner of my little silver room.
Help!
I watched my breath steam in the air, and I hugged myself for warmth.
I'm freezing in here! Look! You've got to help me out of here!
There wasn't anything in there except me. But even so, I felt safe and secure. Soon someone would come and force open the doors. Eventually, somebody would let me out. And I knew that I would soon be home.